Have you been staring at your creatinine number lately? Quietly wondering if your kidneys are getting worse, even though you've been trying so hard to eat healthy? Because what I'm about to tell you may shock you. Some of the safe foods people with kidney problems eat every single day are silently putting even more pressure on their kidneys, and most don't realize it until their lab results climb again. I've seen people walk into my office terrified after watching their creatinine rise from one blood test to the next. They stop eating normally. They cut out entire food groups. Some are so afraid of making the wrong choice that they end up surviving on toast, crackers, and fear. And the heartbreaking part is, many of them truly believe they were protecting their kidneys. But here's the truth nobody explains clearly enough. Kidney damage doesn't always happen because of one big mistake. Sometimes it happens slowly, through everyday habits that look harmless on the surface. A bowl of oatmeal prepared the wrong way, the wrong type of rice, even certain healthy breakfast routines that overload already exhausted kidneys without warning. And if you've been feeling confused, overwhelmed, or scared every time you stand in front of your refrigerator, wondering what is actually safe to eat, you are not alone. I'm Dr. Ethan Caldwell, and in this video, I'm going to show you 4 powerful grains that can help support your kidneys instead of stressing them. The simple cooking technique that may help reduce hidden mineral overload, and the common breakfast mistake that thousands of Americans with high creatinine are still making every morning without realizing the damage it may be causing. Because the good news is this: high creatinine does not automatically mean your story is over. In many cases, your kidneys are not asking you to starve. They're asking you to stop overwhelming them. And once you understand the difference, everything about the way you eat and the way you feel about your future can begin to change. The first grain I want you to think about is probably one you barely heard anyone talk about in America anymore: Bulgur. And honestly, that's a shame, because for many people struggling with high creatinine, this humble grain may be far more kidney-friendly than the processed white carbs hiding in their kitchen right now. I remember one patient telling me she stopped eating almost everything after her kidney numbers went up. Breakfast became dry toast. Lunch was crackers. Dinner was whatever felt safe. But within weeks, she felt exhausted, dizzy, and emotionally drained. And the truth is, this happens to thousands of people. Fear slowly replaces nourishment. Your body becomes weaker, inflammation rises, and your kidneys are forced to work even harder. That's where bulgur becomes so interesting. Unlike heavily refined grains, bulgur still contains natural fiber that helps feed the healthy bacteria in your gut. And that matters more than most people realize, because your gut can actually help remove uremic waste before it ever reaches your kidneys. Some studies suggest that higher fiber intake may help reduce toxin buildup and inflammatory stress in people with chronic kidney disease. What surprises many people even more is this: the phosphorus inside bulgur is absorbed far less aggressively than the phosphorus added to processed foods like deli meats, frozen meals, or dark sodas. In many plant-based grains, your body only absorbs around 30 to 50% of that phosphorus, compared to nearly 100% from chemical additives. And suddenly the conversation changes. Maybe the goal isn't to fear every grain on your plate. Maybe the real danger has been hiding inside the ultra-processed foods people were told were easier on the kidneys all along. But knowing this alone still isn't enough, because the next grain may be even more powerful for people struggling with blood sugar, inflammation, and rising creatinine at the same time. And that brings us to the grain that completely changes the conversation for people dealing with both high creatinine and unstable blood sugar: barley. Because one of the biggest mistakes I see over and over again is people focusing only on kidney numbers while ignoring the silent inflammation happening underneath them. I once spoke with a man in his early 60s who told me he felt tired almost every afternoon, no matter what he ate. He had already switched away from sugary snacks, but he was still relying heavily on white bread, instant noodles, and processed cereals because he thought they were light on his kidneys. What he didn't realize was that those foods were causing rapid blood sugar spikes, and every spike was creating more inflammatory stress inside blood vessels his kidneys were already struggling to protect. This is where barley becomes incredibly powerful. Barley has a naturally low glycemic index, meaning it releases energy slowly instead of flooding your bloodstream all at once. That slower release matters because stable blood sugar helps reduce inflammation, oxidative stress, and pressure on the tiny filtering units inside the kidneys. In fact, research has shown that diets rich in soluble fiber may improve insulin sensitivity and help reduce metabolic strain linked to chronic kidney disease. And there's something emotionally important here too. Many people with kidney problems feel trapped between conflicting food rules. One doctor says avoid carbs, another says avoid protein. Eventually, food stops feeling safe at all. But barley reminds us that healing is not about starving your body. It's about choosing foods that work with your body instead of against it. But wait, because the next grain is the one that shocks my patients the most. For years, millions of people were told to avoid it completely, when in reality, the real danger may have been hiding somewhere else entirely. And now we come to the grain that has probably been misunderstood more than any other in the kidney world: brown rice. For years, people with high creatinine were told the same thing over and over again. Stay away from it. Choose white rice instead. Keep everything plain, stripped down, safe. But what if that advice left out one of the most important pieces of the story? I remember a woman telling me she hadn't touched brown rice in nearly 6 years because she was terrified of phosphorus. Every meal became smaller, whiter, emptier. And slowly, without realizing it, she began replacing real food with packaged, kidney-friendly snacks loaded with preservatives, sodium, and chemical additives. Her labs kept getting worse, and emotionally, she felt like food had become the enemy. Here's what many people never hear explained clearly enough. The phosphorus found naturally inside brown rice is very different from the phosphorus added to processed foods. In whole grains, phosphorus is bound to plant compounds called phytates, and the human body only absorbs about 30 to 50% of it. But the inorganic phosphorus used in fast food, deli meats, frozen meals, and dark sodas can be absorbed almost completely, creating a much heavier burden on already stressed kidneys. And unlike white rice, brown rice still contains its fiber-rich outer layer, which helps slow blood sugar spikes and supports the gut in removing waste more efficiently. Even better, darker varieties like red rice and black rice contain antioxidants that may help fight oxidative stress linked to kidney damage. But there's an important trick most people overlook. Soaking and double boiling brown rice before cooking can help reduce excess potassium and mineral load even further, making it much gentler on sensitive kidneys. Have you completely avoided brown rice because you thought it was dangerous? Let me know in the comments because I hear this fear almost every single week. But knowing which rice to choose is still not the full picture, because the final grain on this list is hiding inside a breakfast routine millions of Americans still believe is perfectly healthy. And that brings us to the final grain, the one that surprises people the most because almost everyone thinks it's automatically healthy: oats. On the surface, oatmeal looks like the perfect breakfast: warm, comforting, heart-healthy. And for many people, it is. But when your kidneys are already struggling, the way you prepare oats can quietly make all the difference. I can't tell you how many patients have looked at me with guilt in their eyes after learning this. They'll say, "Dr. Caldwell, I've been eating oatmeal with milk every morning for years because I thought I was doing something good for my body." And if that sounds familiar to you, I need you to hear this clearly. Please do not blame yourself. You were trying to take care of your health with the information you had. The real problem is not usually the oats themselves. It's the combination most people never question. When oats are mixed with dairy milk, your kidneys suddenly have to process a much heavier load of animal protein, phosphorus, and potassium all at once. Proteins like casein and whey can increase pressure inside the tiny filtering units of the kidneys, especially in people already dealing with chronic inflammation or rising creatinine levels. But here's the hopeful part. Small changes can create surprisingly powerful relief. Cooking oats with water, unsweetened almond milk, or rice milk can dramatically reduce that burden while still giving your body the fiber that helps support gut health and toxin removal. Add a few berries or cinnamon, and suddenly breakfast becomes supportive instead of stressful. And honestly, this is where kidney healing becomes emotional, not just nutritional. Because many people are not only exhausted from the disease, they're exhausted from constantly being afraid of food. They stand in their kitchens every morning wondering if the next meal is helping them or hurting them. So before we finish, I want to ask you something personal. What does your breakfast usually look like right now? Have you been eating oats with milk, thinking it was the healthiest choice possible? Leave a comment below, because you are far from alone in this journey. And there's one final thing most people never realize until it's too late. Your kidneys are listening not only to what's on your plate, but also to the stress, fear, and hopelessness you carry every single day. And that mindset may be affecting your healing more than you think. If there's one thing I hope you take away from today's video, it's this. High creatinine is not always a sign that your body is giving up. Sometimes it's your kidneys asking for less pressure, less inflammation, and a little more support from the choices you make every day. And the truth is, those choices do not have to come from fear. Small changes in the foods you eat, the way you prepare them, and the habits you repeat every morning can create a real difference over time. Please remember, you do not have to become perfect overnight. Healing the kidneys is not about starving yourself or living in constant anxiety every time you sit down to eat. It's about learning how to work with your body instead of against it. One better breakfast, one smarter swap, one calmer decision at a time. And if nobody has told you this lately, I'm proud of you for still trying, even when this journey feels exhausting. If this video helped you feel even a little more hopeful or informed today, make sure to save this video so you can come back to these tips whenever you need them. And subscribe to the channel for more trusted kidney health and medical guidance designed to help you protect your kidneys, lower inflammation, and stay ahead of the silent damage that so many people miss until it's too late. Every week we share simple, science-based strategies to help you take better care of your body without fear or confusion. And finally, never forget this. Your kidneys are incredibly resilient. They are working for you every second of every day, even when you feel tired, scared, or overwhelmed. So take a deep breath tonight, give yourself some grace, and remember, your story is not over yet. There is still time to support your body, protect your future, and begin making choices that help your kidneys breathe a little easier again.